minutes or something.
All right, it's 9 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to call the meeting to order,
I'll do roll call.
and we'll do a roll call vote, or not vote, roll call.
Jim Sheeline, Mike Book,
Here.
Tom Kitson,
Present.
Larry Memini,
Here.
Tim Bivens,
Here.
Nancy Naylor.
Present.
Okay. This time I'd like to acknowledge those in the room that aren't part of the committee. So Stacy, do you have anything?
Sure. I just wanted to remind the Finance Committee that probation is up for union negotiations this year. They should be starting here within the next couple months. At this point so far, we do not have a date set. Just as a reminder too, the probation staff negotiates with the chief judge. All of our salaries, with the exception of one and a small portion of that, is reimbursed by the state. So that's just something to keep in mind as the next few months go on. I'll keep you up to date too as the union negotiations progress and how that's going. Reimbursement for positions that should start to trickle in now. There was a change from the state in regards to the process on how that would work. While we're at the end of the state's fiscal year, that should start coming in for this past year. There had to be an approval to the annual plan, which I prepare, which has been done. So now that that has been done, reimbursement should start coming in a little bit quicker than what you've seen so far. The last thing that I have is the Dependent Children's Care Fund. That line item has a budget of $27,612. We have expended the money that is in that account. I have just sent a claim through earlier this week to the tune of $14,000. That line item, just as a reminder, is for the detention of juveniles. So when there is a situation, an arrest that takes place, we do a screening instrument which helps us determine whether or not that minor should be detained prior to and pending court. This past year, over the last 5 months, we've seen a significant increase in regards to that, more so than any of the years in the past. So we are at about $38,000 right now for detaining minors. Just as a reminder, we detain those kids at the Kane County Juvenile Justice Center, and that daily rate is $175 per day. I just
Okay.
wanted to keep you advised of that and up to date, and I will continue to do so as time goes on.
Thank you. Sarah?
I only have the ARPA item that's on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Nancy? Or Amy, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm on the agenda, so I'll wait, thanks.
Okay. Nancy? No. Okay. Mike? Okay. Alice?
I would like to follow the comments of Ms. Caitlin
Sure.
Culbertson,
Absolutely.
who is present on Zoom.
Okay. Courtney, do you?
Morning, everyone. Courtney Kennedy here as local counsel for Aldina Solar LLC. We are on the agenda for the county board meeting, and you'll see us at your executive committee meeting as well. As you may recall, back in 2020, Aldina Solar filed a petition for special use permit for a 175 megawatt solar farm in South Dixon and Nachusa townships. It was granted, the county board granted the special use on September 17th, 2020 by ordinance number 09-20-007. Under that then existing ordinance regulating solar energy systems, it included a requirement basically that the company or developer had 3 years to construct the project or have the use substantially underway. We're here requesting an extension of that time frame. We're asking for a 3-year extension of this time frame due to the PJM reform and the delays associated with PJM. What I'd like to do is take a minute to tell you about what the company has done since the issuance of that special use permit by the county. In the realm of interconnection, the company's placed several interconnection deposits totaling $776,000, plus it's estimated to pay another $65,000 this year. There is a facility study, which is really the main basis for this extension request. This facility study is commissioned by PJM and ComEd together. My understanding is that both sides need information from the other in order to get the facility study put together. Originally, the deliverable date promised to Aldina Solar for this facility study was March 31st of 2019. Now it's being promised as late as March 31 of 2025. As far as other studies go, the developer has had several reports and studies completed to date, including the wetland studies, the Phase 1 environmental, threatened and endangered species, and a cultural study, those totaling $160,000. The developer has made several real estate payments to the participating landowners. Those are totaling $118,500. The company has purchased certain construction equipment in anticipation for this project, totaling approximately $349,362. And then, of course, the company had the general permitting costs associated with the county, the soil and water application, the Lee County zoning application fee, hearing fees, the facilitator fees, and the court reporter fees. Our understanding is that PJM underwent a significant reform as to how it approves or looks at projects in the queue. Keep in mind, I liken PJM to the keeper of the grid. Now, my understanding, though, I have Amber Miller here with me who might be able to better explain the process. With the new PJM reform, they're going to look at these projects in batches. So hopefully, once PJM gets more familiar with its new process, it'll speed things up. But we are asking for a 3-year extension to basically see if we can get that facility study commissioned. And I say we, I mean to see if PJM and ComEd can get that facility study commissioned and then get the project underway. So we're here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Charlie, do you have anything?
No, thank you, sir.
All right. Bob? No? Okay. All right. We've got the minutes in your packet from the previous meeting. If there, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, Ms. Culbertson is present on Zoom and she does
Oh,
have comments for the
I'm
visit.
sorry. I've missed that. Thank you, Alice. Ms. Culbertson?
Thank you. I apologize. I have a bit of a cold, but I represent Amboy, Illinois Solar One LLC that has a pending special use application for a solar energy system. And you will see it's on the agenda for the executive committee today, and hopefully we'll go to the county board at the next meeting. We just have a few comments to provide some clarifications on our application in relation to a public comment that was made at the last county board meeting. So during public comment at the May 25th, 2023 Lee County board meeting, an individual made a statement regarding a pending special use application for a solar energy system. Importantly, the statement was made outside of the public hearing on the zoning application and is not part of the record, and the county board should not consider it in deciding with respect to the application. Further, any conclusions made by the individual with respect to the impact of the vote of the commissioner's reasoning for the recommendation is solely the opinion of that individual. Finally, the statement included several inaccuracies and misstatements that we felt were important to clarify to the county board. On behalf of the Lee County Zoning and Planning Office and the applicant, Amboy, Illinois Solar One LLC, the following 7 clarifications are provided. 1, Amboy, Illinois Solar One LLC is not a utility scale project, but rather it is a distributed generation project that is proposed to occupy approximately 30 acres within an agricultural type fence consisting with the surrounding areas, and panels will not exceed 9 feet in height. Second, the Colonel Nathan Whitney House was listed in the National Register of Historic Places, or the NRHP, in 1990 under Criterion C, design construction at the local level. The area of significance is architecture. However, the surrounding property does not convey any historical significance. The orchards and farmlands that were present during the period of significance, which was 1860, 1890, are no longer present, with the original barns and outbuildings demolished. The property around the house now hosts 20th and 21st century features, and the NRHP listing boundary line reflects these findings and follows an approximately 10-foot radius around the structure itself. The entire property is not listed on the NRHP. 3, the Colonel Whitney House is located on 6.16 acres adjacent to Whitney Road. When viewing the structure, it is currently seen within the context of Interstate 88, high voltage transmission lines, and other present day commodities. The project is located more than 400 feet from the structure itself and will modify some of the surrounding views. However, detailed vegetative screening is proposed in full accordance with the Lee County Solar Ordinance, and a final landscape plan will be developed and approved by an Illinois licensed landscape architect. 4, a detailed historic structure report was prepared by Matthew Highland, an architectural historian at TRC Companies. State and federal regulations were followed in conducting this analysis and preparing the report. The analysis determined that the Colonel Whitney House will not be destroyed, altered, removed, or neglected as a result of the construction of the project. The undertaking will not change the character of the house's use or physical features within its setting that contribute to its historic significance. The undertaking has the potential to introduce visual elements in the vicinity of the house, but the construction of solar panels will not diminish the integrity of the historic property's significant historic features. The report, which concluded the project had no effect of the historic resource, was submitted to the Illinois State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO, and a virtual meeting was held with SHPO, in which SHPO concurred with the findings in the report and indicated that a letter will be provided to recommend no adverse effect on the house, with the required condition being to provide additional detail around the vegetative buffer. The letter will be provided to Lee County per request commitments made during the zoning application. 5, at its closest point, panels are located more than 400 feet from the foundation of the Colonel Nathan Whitney House in accordance with the Lee County Solar Ordinance. 6, all required notices relating to the zoning application were properly provided. There is no county, state, or federal requirement for any notice to be provided to Lee County Historical Society or any other local historical organization or tourist office. And 7, the public hearing on the zoning application was held over 2 days, and any person wishing to testify or provide comments to the Zoning Board of Appeals was given a full opportunity to do so. Thank you for your time. We very much appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Alice?
Okay, I would like to follow up on Ms. Culbertson's comments related to the Amboy, Illinois Solar One petition. Last month at the county board meeting, we did have an individual speak out of turn. And so we are trying to present the facts that were presented at hearing in response to that. This individual noted that following the filing of the Amboy, Illinois Solar One petition for special use, the zoning office sent notice to local government boards but that local historical organizations and tourism offices did not receive notice from the zoning office. This is correct. However, notification to local historical and tourism organizations is not required under any Lee County ordinance, including wind and solar. The petitioner is obligated to consult with the Illinois State Historic Preservation Office, or also known as SHPO, for historical concerns, just as they are required to consult with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources for wildlife concerns. And like the IDNR, SHPO renders recommendations to the petitioner should their proposed development potentially impact areas of historical and/or archaeological significance. Amboy, Illinois Solar One has committed to complying with all recommendations of SHPO. Further, it should be noticed that the proper forum for local organizations to present their concerns on a petition would be during the public hearing. The citizen also alleged that the public hearing that the public did not have time to prepare for the public hearing. When we drafted the ordinance that this petition was filed under, Lee County had heard the concerns of the citizens that they needed more time to prepare for these hearings. So in response to that, Lee County had included a community meeting section in their ordinance that requires a information meeting take place a minimum of 45 days prior to the public hearing. The The petitioner is required to mail notice to every resident within 1,000 feet of the proposed project for this hearing. And the purpose is to get the public talking, to allow them time to prepare for the public hearing, and to give the petitioner an opportunity to work out any concerns of the public. Amboy, Illinois Solar One's petition has met the requirements of our ordinance for this community meeting. With regards to the public hearing, state statute dictates that a minimum of 15 days prior to the public hearing, the petitioner must publish notice of the public hearing in a local newspaper, give notice to municipalities whose boundaries are within 1.5 miles of any part of the property proposed as a special use, and give notice of the public hearing to owners of any land adjacent to or immediately across the street, alley, or public right-of-way from the property proposed as a special use. The petitioner, Amboy, Illinois Solar One, has also met these requirements. Additionally, the Lee County Zoning Office posted signs containing notice of the public hearing near the proposed project site. The individual stated that the motion to approve Amboy, Illinois Solar One's petition resulted in a tie, and that Judge Slavin stated that the petition had failed. The petition did not fail. The motion failed. Unfortunately, the ZBA only had 4 members present that evening instead of its usual 5, and this resulted in a tie vote. Following the failure of the motion to recommend approval of the petition, no motion to recommend to deny the petition was made. Therefore, this petition is coming to you without a recommendation. It should also be noted that while 2 of the board members did vote no on the motion to recommend approval, citing concerns for the existing terrace farming, the architectural integrity of the Whitney Mansion, and the high soil scores, neither member made a motion recommending that the petition be denied. Further, the board went on to approve motions recommending conditions that would address the concerns regarding the architectural integrity of the Whitney Mansion and help preserve the terrace farming. It should also be noted that this petition, the ordinance that this petition is filed under, has setbacks of it's 400 feet from any point on the foundation. Should this petition be denied and they refile under our current ordinance, which is in compliance with the governor's standards, those setbacks will be reduced to 150 feet. So I think the board does need to consider that when considering this petition. Please familiarize yourself with the facts of this petition that were presented during the public hearing. We do have transcripts available, and the videos on YouTube can be viewed as well. Is any questions on that? I do have a couple other issues that I need to address also. We had the zoning board had a public hearing finish up on Monday of this week. One of the motions made, well, first of all, the zoning board voted, they made a recommendation to approve, and again, that motion was defeated. They did not make a motion to recommend the petition, recommend approval of the petition, or recommend denial of the petition. I'm sorry. The Lee County ZBA found that due to the state of the petitioner's evidence, more particularly as outlined herein, the consistencies, the incorrect assertions, the failure to comply with the number of the Lee County ordinance requirements, which should have been met by this stage, the number of unknown or unaddressed project details, implied corporate cash flow questions, and the lack of familiarity with basic SES special use permit considerations, there arise legitimate concerns as to whether the developer will, or maybe at this point even can, comply with the requirements of the Lee County Solar Energy System Ordinance for this proposed project. And this is with regards to petition number 23P1604. The petitioner is Woosung Solar. So again, this is coming to you without a recommendation. There are concerns regarding what was not presented at the public hearing for this matter. So therefore, that is what the zoning board ended up finding. To move on to another issue, last night we had a public hearing regarding 2 petitions for text amendment to address some changes to the wind and solar. I know last month you just approved the ordinances that incorporate the governor's new siting standards. And we've already found a couple of things that we needed to upgrade. When reviewing the ordinance, I realized that I had missed a definition for community solar energy facility. So we are including that in this new draft that will be coming before you. Additionally, while talking with a potential developer, it was noted that we did not specify in our ordinance what zones these projects can be permitted in. So we have added a statement that no commercial solar energy facility may be permitted in any zoning district other than the Ag 1, I1, I2, and I3 districts. Further, in our hearings before the zoning board, we have run into some issues with the current screening section in that it is requiring the developer to place a screen on property that they may not have legal rights to. So we have amended the ordinance, and I did work with their ordinance review group that consists of 4 members of this county board. And what we ended up doing is we have changed some of the language so that screening to help minimize the visual impacts of a commercial solar energy facility on non-participating residents from a single-story dwelling viewpoint located within 1/4 mile of any component of the facility, including fencing, of the non-participating resident's foundation. So previously, screening was granted to anyone who was adjacent to the project parcel. We have found that this does not really cover everyone that is near the facility. So by creating this radius, we are able to offer that more consistently. We have also defined exactly where the screening shall be placed, and that will now be immediately adjacent to the exterior of the required fencing. In our current ordinance, that is not clear, and we've had some issues with that in the zoning, so we would like to clean that up. There's a couple other just changes that have been made to bring some language to make it consistent with definitions. And then lastly, we have added a statement that says a visual screen shall not be required where it is found that natural topography effectively screens a non-participating residence from a commercial solar energy facility. If existing topography provides partial screening from a commercial solar energy facility, then a visual screen shall be installed to provide screening in accordance with this section. Under the wind ordinance, the only thing that we are proposing change would be the inclusion of the statement that no commercial wind energy facility shall be permitted in any zoning district other than Ag 1, I1, I2, and I3 districts. Both of those petitions resulted in a recommendation to approve, and the vote was 3-0 on each. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Minutes are in your packet. If there are no changes to the minutes, they will stand as presented. Okay. Paul, anything for the monthly report not being covered in the quarterly?
No. So right now, what you guys have in front of you there in your screens are your financial reports. Those are quarterlies, as well as May is a quarter end. So you'll be signing off on those. I'll just say that, our revenues again are not coming in as strong as they could.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's quarterly financial report? Motion by Nancy, Is there a second? A second by Tom. Oh, is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah, nays. Motion passes. Ms. Naylor, anything for the insurance committee?
Thank you. No, the next insurance committee meeting is in July, so hopefully I'll have something after that.
Thank you. Mr. Mimini, anything for Gredco?
No, nothing yet.
All right, thank you. All right, Sarah, will you walk us through the ARPA item on the agenda?
Yes. In your packet, we have a board action request form that Patty and I prepared. We're just doing a cleanup of some ARPA expenses. So we have some expenses that were approved based upon an estimate or a quote, and the project has been completed, but all of the ARPA funds were not utilized. So what our request is to reallocate those overages of what's left to the ARPA capital fund. On the second page, you'll see the spreadsheet of all of the expenses for ARPA. We have a few of them highlighted that have the overage. The first one is Next Picture Show. They had an HVAC unit. We have about $462.50 left from that. County Board Technology Upgrades has $1,425.41 left. Our Social Service Agency program, we have a balance of $20,608 left. The Small Business Program has a balance of $10,416 left. The Board Chair Conference Room has 12 cents left. And then the last two, the moving the IT servers to the courts building and the lead abatement, we have a larger amount left in those. The reason being is that when those claims were processed, they were not processed out of ARPA. They were processed out of other line items. So it left a surplus in there. The total that we're asking to be reallocated back to ARPA capital is $63,888.32. Any questions?
Questions? Is there a motion to approve the request to reallocate funding? Mr. Bivens, I might have a brain fart. Is there a second? Nancy? Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, there's no monthly resolutions, no unfinished business, new business. Amy?
Morning. So I know in the past, we've talked about raising the jury mileage rate, and I believe it's time to do that. Numerous counties in the state pay the IRS rate. So right now, we currently pay them 35 cents a mile and $15 a day. For those of you who don't know, there's two different kinds of juries. We have petit or trial juries and grand juries. Grand jury proceedings are closed to the public, and they consist of about 12 to 16 people who determine whether there's enough evidence to charge a person with a crime. The state's attorney's office usually calls in the grand jury, and they're scheduled monthly. However, they're not always held every month. We also have a statewide grand jury that the Attorney General's office calls in on a monthly basis. Excuse me. The Attorney General's office, they do reimburse us for their jury pay. So in the budget, we currently have $10,000 in County General for jury pay budgeted every year. It's hard to determine how it's going to affect it due to there's juries on the calendar throughout the year, many different dates. They can come on and off at any time for any number of reasons. So for example, the month of May alone, we had 4 jury trials that all came off. In July, Judge Eckert has 4 jury trials on our calendar. They may go, they may not go. So it's hard to determine how this will affect. Of course, it's going to affect it if we raise it. You know, we're going to probably need some more money in that fund, but I can't, give you an exact figure or because that's how it works with the court system. So I think you should have a resolution in there in your packets. But it's budget time and we'll have to determine what we need to do if you decide to pass this. Any questions? Yes. We'll put it on the budget. It'll change. You know, we're going to have to probably ask for more. It's not to request more right now. It's just to pass a resolution to raise it. Correct, right. It does, yes.
Like it was 65 for business. and is that what we're-
65.5%, yeah, cents right now. Is the current
Okay, so
rate.
we'd be looking at 65, so we're getting close to about double, so,
Right,
okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Tom?
Amy, and I'm sorry, maybe Tim asked this. You said the state reimburses us. Will they reimburse the increase we put on there?
Yes,
Okay,
the Attorney General's office?
yep. Thank you.
I believe so, yes, they should.
You're right. Yeah. Not all.
Okay, I would entertain a motion for a resolution requesting an increase to the juror mileage compensation to the executive committee for inclusion on the June board agenda. Tom, second by Nancy. Any discussion? Okay, we'll proceed to vote then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Motion passes. I don't have anything for executives. A motion to adjourn. Laram. Seconded by Mr. Bivens. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We're adjourned.